Nobody tells you about the moment on the first night. You have arrived. You have found your hotel. You have put your bag down. And then you sit on the edge of the bed in a city you have never been to before, in a room you have never slept in before, in a country where you might not speak the language, and the silence is enormous. Not frightening, exactly, but enormous. And in that silence, a thought arrives that nobody warned you about. What am I doing here? This is the moment that almost every solo traveler experiences on their first trip. And it is the moment that, if you push through it, if you get up, go outside, and let the city in, changes everything. Today, we are going to tell you the real truth about solo travel, not the Instagram version, the real one. Let's start with the thing that surprises people most, the loneliness. Solo travel is lonely sometimes. There, someone said it. The travel content you see online, the smiling faces, the perfect sunsets, the apparent ease of moving through the world alone, does not show you the restaurant where you sat at a table for one and watched couples and groups laughing around you and felt, very acutely, the absence of someone to share it with. It does not show you the spectacular view that you stood in front of alone and thought, I wish someone was here to see this with me. The loneliness is real, but here is what is also real. It passes. And what replaces it, when it passes, is something that is genuinely difficult to find any other way. A particular kind of freedom. The freedom that comes from having nowhere to be except where you want to be. No one to consult. No compromises to make. The entire day, every hour of it, shaped entirely by your own curiosity and your own energy, and your own sense of what matters. That freedom, once experienced, is extraordinarily difficult to give up. The loneliness and the freedom are not opposites. They are the same thing, experienced from different angles. The aloneness that sometimes feels empty is the same aloneness that sometimes feels like the purest possible form of independence. And learning to move between those two experiences, learning to sit with the loneliness without being overwhelmed by it, and to receive the freedom without taking it for granted, is one of the most valuable things that solo travel teaches. Now let's talk about safety, because safety is the thing that people worry about most before their first solo trip, and the reality is more nuanced than most advice acknowledges. The world is safer for solo travelers than most people fear. The vast majority of solo trips, in almost every destination, pass without any serious incident. Most people in most places are fundamentally decent, curious about visitors, willing to help, not interested in causing harm. The news, which covers the exceptional and the dramatic rather than the ordinary and the safe, creates a picture of the world that is significantly more dangerous than the world most travelers actually encounter. But, and this is important, safety requires active management. It is not something you can be passive about. Being aware of your surroundings, knowing where you are, having a general sense of the neighborhood you are in, noticing the people around you, is not paranoia. It is basic competence. Keeping your valuables secured and not obviously displayed. Trusting your instincts. If a situation feels wrong, it probably is, and removing yourself from it is always the right decision. Sharing your itinerary with someone at home, telling them where you are going and when you expect to be in contact. These are not burdens. They are habits, and like all habits, they become second nature with practice. The safety challenges of solo travel are also very different, depending on the destination, the traveler, and the specific circumstances. Research, specific, recent, honest research about the places you are going, is not optional. It is the foundation of safe solo travel. Understanding the specific risks of a specific destination, not the generic fears that apply everywhere, but the actual, particular things to be aware of in this city, in this country, at this time of year, allows you to manage those risks intelligently rather than either ignoring them or being paralyzed by them. Now let's talk about something that nobody in the travel content world talks about enough. The practical reality of being completely responsible for yourself, all the time, in an unfamiliar environment. When you travel with other people, the cognitive load of travel is shared. Someone else keeps track of the time. Someone else notices when the train is delayed. Someone else remembers that you need to check out by 11. When you travel alone, all of that falls entirely on you. Every decision, where to eat, which bus to take, whether to stay another day or move on, is yours alone. There is no one to confirm your choices, no one to catch your mistakes, no one to share the mental work of navigating a new place. This sounds exhausting, and sometimes it is, but it also produces something remarkable, because when you are the only person responsible for yourself, you discover exactly how capable you are. You solve problems that you would normally look to someone else to solve. You make decisions with confidence that you would normally dilute by seeking consensus. You navigate, quite literally, by your own judgment, and you discover that your judgment is better than you thought. That discovery, that quiet realization that you are more capable, more resourceful, more resilient than you previously believed, is one of the most important things solo travel gives you, and it stays with you long after the trip is over. Let's talk about money, because the financial reality of solo travel is something that most people do not think about honestly before they go. Solo travel is more expensive per person than group travel. There is no splitting the cost of a hotel room. There is no shared taxi. There is no one to split the cost of a large meal. You pay the full price for everything, every time. This is a reality that catches many first-time solo travelers by surprise, and it requires honest budgeting before you go. But there is another side to this. When you travel alone, you spend your money entirely according to your own priorities. If you want to splurge on one extraordinary meal and eat cheaply for the rest of the week, you can. If you want to spend 3 days in a museum and skip the expensive tours, you can. If you want to change your plans entirely and go somewhere unexpected because someone you met on the road mentioned it, you can. The financial freedom of solo travel, the ability to allocate your budget according to nothing but your own values and your own curiosity, is a genuine luxury that group travel cannot offer. Now let's talk about connection, because one of the great paradoxes of solo travel is that traveling alone is one of the best ways to meet people. When you travel with a group, you are a closed system. You have your companions, your conversations, your shared references. The world around you is interesting but somewhat external, something you observe and discuss among yourselves. When you travel alone, you are an open system. You have no automatic companions, which means that every interaction with the outside world is a potential connection. The person at the next table in the restaurant, the traveler in the hostel common room, the local who gives you directions, and then, noticing you are lost and alone, offers to walk you part of the way. These connections, brief, often surprising, sometimes profound, are specific to solo travel. They do not happen in the same way when you are embedded in a group. The connections that solo travelers make are often the most memorable part of the trip. Not the famous sights or the extraordinary landscapes, though those matter too, but the conversations. The person on the train who told you something about their country that changed the way you understood it. The fellow traveler you met at a hostel and explored a city with for 2 days and then never saw again but still remember clearly. The local guide who became, in a few hours, someone whose perspective on the place you were visiting was more valuable than any guidebook. These encounters are not guaranteed in solo travel, but the conditions for them, the openness, the availability, the willingness to be surprised, are far more present when you are alone than when you are not. Let's talk about the practical things, the things you actually need to know before you go. Accommodation matters more in solo travel than in group travel. When you are alone, your accommodation is your base, your refuge, your guaranteed social environment if you want it. Hostels, particularly well-reviewed hostels with active common areas, are one of the best options for solo travelers who want to meet people. The common room of a good hostel is one of the most reliable places in the world to have an interesting conversation with a stranger. Private rooms in hostels give you the social environment of the hostel with the privacy of your own space. And for travelers who value solitude more than connection, a quiet guest house or a small hotel can provide exactly the right balance of independence and comfort. Connectivity is the safety net of modern solo travel. A local SIM card, giving you data and the ability to make local calls, is one of the first things to acquire when you arrive in a new country. Knowing that you can navigate, communicate, and call for help if necessary removes a significant proportion of the anxiety that many first-time solo travelers carry. Download offline maps before you go. Apps that work without a data connection can be genuinely critical in areas with poor coverage. And keep your phone charged. A portable battery pack is a small investment that pays dividends every single day of a solo trip. Planning, but not over-planning, is the ideal approach to a solo trip. Have the first night booked before you arrive. Have a general sense of what you want to see and do, but leave room, real room, not theoretical room, for spontaneity. The best experiences of solo travel almost always come from the unplanned moments. The detour you took because something caught your eye. The extra day you stayed somewhere because you weren't ready to leave. The completely different direction you went because of something you learned from someone you met. Over-planning closes those doors, and the doors it closes are often the most interesting ones. And finally, the truth that takes the longest to learn, the one that most travel content never mentions at all. Solo travel changes you. Not dramatically, not overnight, not in ways that are easy to describe to someone who hasn't experienced it. But it does change you. It changes the way you see yourself, what you are capable of, what you need, what you can do without. It changes the way you see other people, their lives, their cultures, their ways of organizing the world. And it changes the way you see the world itself, not as a backdrop to your life, but as a place you are genuinely part of. A place that is extraordinarily various and complex and surprising. A place that consistently exceeds your expectations when you approach it with openness and curiosity and the particular kind of attention that traveling alone, in all its discomfort, and freedom and loneliness and joy, teaches you to pay. The first night is hard, but get up, go outside, let the city in. Everything else follows from that.